Hello, Aries, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of April 12th through the 18th. And during that time, for most of the week, we have a waning crescent moon. And of course, that's a really good time of calm, stability, a good time for us to just take a little time to be thoughtful and think about um, those things that we've just experienced, where we're learning, where we're growing, and what we might want to make adjustments for as that new moon approaches, because that comes in on the 17th. And of course, that's a time for a fresh start and new beginnings, time for us to learn a new skill or start new things. So we're kind of wrapping up the cycle and moving into the next cycle. So keep that in mind as we move through the week with those moon energies. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Aries. So, as always, please take what resonates today and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is you are very close to achieving your goal. So, isn't that perfect for that waning crescent energy? Achieving goals and moving on, setting new goals, right? All right. As I'm shuffling the tarot, my fun weekly reminder for this week is that you keep a spiritual journal. So sometimes we don't recognize the patterns, things that are developing in our spiritual life. And it's funny because one specific area is dreams. And I was just listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy was talking about premonition dreams and how many times in his journal he has dreamed something and it has happened 1 year later, exactly, like to the day. And I was like, that's so interesting. And I haven't really investigated I need to go back and look at mine to see, if that's been a thing. But it just reminded me too, make sure we're journaling all those dreams that you can remember. It's just a really good thing to learn how to understand your dream language. And if you are having premonition type dreams, then you've got them down on paper. So that is my fun weekly reminder for you to do that. So all right, let's get into this reading. We've got Aries, April 12th through the 18th. You are very close to achieving your goal. And your present energy right now, Aries, is look at all of the choices here with the Seven of Cups. So looks like you're in an area, in a time right now where you've got a lot of choices to make, and you just want to make sure that you're making the right choices. So, this could be that things are wrapping up and maybe it's brought you to that point. I always say that choice is a luxury. Imagine times in your life when you didn't have many choices, when you only have one choice, there's just no choice there, or two. So when you have seven choices, when you have seven different things to choose from, that is a big luxury. Just make sure you are choosing wisely and thinking of your overall goals, in life when you make decisions like that, when you have big choices to make. Your current situation right now is the Eight of Cups. So it looks like you're moving into your future and you're feeling very supported. You've got these cups at your back. You've got choices to make, but you're doing that and moving into the future, feeling just supported, feeling the love and support of friends and family and people around you. So that is very awesome. At the root of your situation this week, Aries, is the High Priestess. So, I was talking about dreams, and here comes the High Priestess. This is a card of mystery, things that come to us in the night. This could be dreams or just intuitive feelings and things that we're just not even sure why we feel a thing. And this could be about moving into your future. You're moving to a place where maybe you're like, I'm not real sure about this, but something's telling me to do it, right? Also the same with the choices. So make sure that you are this week listening to your intuition. Make sure that you're paying attention to those dreams, to those synchronicities and things in the universe that are kind of giving you little signs and signals about where you're headed, where this future is taking you, and also about choices you're making. There's just some things that you might feel rather than just be complete logic, like, oh, this is a logical next step. There might be something that feels a little illogical, and maybe you need to take a step in that direction, and it's going to take you to a place that's a little surprising. So that's pretty awesome. In your recent past here, Aries, is the Five of Cups. So, you might have just gone through some sort of loss or some sort of grief or sadness, something that is, maybe it's been the catalyst for taking this new direction of the future and having these choices. So, and this could range, this can be a brief sadness. This could be a big loss. This could be a loss of a person, a friend or a family member, or it could be a loss of a job, or, just something in your life that makes you have to turn around and take a new path into your future. So whatever that is, internet hugs to you. Again, it could have been big, it could have been small, but it's something you kind of, the trajectory into this, making these decisions and changing your path here and moving into the future is something that seems like it was, there was some sadness attached to it. On your mind this week, Aries, is the Chariot. So yeah, this is, the Chariot isn't about making a move, but it is about thinking a move and planning. So that could be these decisions that are getting made. This, you're thinking about moving into the future. Again, you've got some support there. The Chariot is almost, I call it like the packing the minivan card, that instead of making or instead of moving in a particular direction, you're kind of gathering the information. Like, let's say this future is about, use a job, for example. Let's say you did lose a job. You've got choices about where you can go or where you can work or different things, but you have to move into the future, with those ideas. And, the Chariot is about kind of gathering that information. Like, where can I work? Where, do I want to move? Do I want to, stay in the lane that I'm in with the kind of work that I'm doing, or is it time for me to make a change and move into something else? Is there something else I've been interested in? So that's those choices. So that's just an example. Of course, tarot is a template, but the Chariot card is about gathering the information before you actually put that move into work. What is just ahead of you this week is the Page of Wands. So, you could be that you're nurturing something that's new in the way of passion, and it could be that this might guide your decision. There might be something that you're newly passionate about, and you think, maybe I'm going to change my life around and make more room for this thing that I just love. I love doing this thing. I didn't think I would. I just discovered it, or something you've rediscovered maybe. But there's some sort of, ahead of you this week is some sort of nurturing of a passion. It could be just that the weather is getting nice, and you're a runner, and so you're going to run longer because the weather's so beautiful. Could be that you're going to take up some sort of outdoor something, maybe gardening. That's a passion of mine that of course, it's dormant all winter, and it's about to be that time where I can get out and get my hands in the dirt and do things, and plant flowers and just do the things that I like to do. So there's something like that ahead of you this week, something that you do like to nurture and something that you really have some passion for. All right, what is in your advice position here is the Six of Cups. So the Six of Cups is many times a card about nostalgia and really thinking about the past. It's just really kind of about enjoying the moment a little bit, smelling the flowers with an old friend, or remembering that friend, remembering a time when maybe you were a child. But just it's just kind of a card of nostalgia. So the advice is to go ahead and enjoy that nostalgic moment. This could be, I know for me, I get nostalgic a lot of times with music. A song comes on and it just puts me back in second grade, and I just think, oh, my life back then, what was that like? And just go ahead and take that time to daydream. If some nostalgia trigger comes up for you, just go ahead and take the time to enjoy it, since that is in your advice position. What is beyond your control this week, Aries, is the Death card. So some sort of ending, and like I said, this kind of reeks of this over here. And it's almost like this is literally the final nail, right? That you're just like, yeah, I'm done. It is time to move on. I'm going to make some choices. Maybe I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to nurture something. And, maybe there's something in your past that comes up that makes you think about something. Again, it could be this passion thing, something I really used to love, XYZ, whatever it might be for you. And I'm going to go ahead and do that again. I've got a little time to nurture that. Again, the intuitive card here, it's things aren't going to be based on logic when you're making these decisions. I feel like there's a lot of feeling that's going into it, and a lot of, again, passion and things that you love, nostalgia. But there's a definite ending here, and with endings come new beginnings. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Fool card either at the end of this particular reading or next week, next couple weeks for you. Let's see, what is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid, is the Empress card. So is it your secret desire to, this is the card of the ultimate creativity, but this is about long-term creativity and decisions that reflect something long-term. So, of course, many times she can be the card of pregnancy. And it doesn't have to be actual pregnancy, although I always have to say that, but uh, she's about making decisions that do long term. Like, of course, if you make a decision about a pregnancy, you are now nurturing a child for 9 months, and then that child is born, and you're nurturing them for all of those years and on into adulthood, honestly. So it's that kind of commitment. It's a very long-term commitment. And so is that your secret desire, is to make that sort of commitment right now to something that's very long-term? Earlier I used a job as an example. Do you want to get into a job where you're going to be there for the next 18 to 20 years? Is that the kind of decision you're trying to make right now, a big decision like that? Or are you totally trying to avoid anything that's like a big long-term commitment? And either answer is fine, Aries, for any of you. Some Aries will choose, yes, I want to do this long-term commitment thing. Some of you are like, no way. And so that's just kind of your big question of the week. Is that your secret desire, or is that what you're trying to avoid? And as long as you answer that question for yourself and really just ask yourself that question and really understand the answer to it, and the whys and hows of all of that. Okay, in your outcome, Aries, is the Emperor. Wow, the most stable card in the deck. The Emperor is a 4, one of my favorite numbers. This is about building something, leading something. I mean, the Emperor and the Empress together, it's like unstoppable. Those two together can create and build a life together. They can build a future together. They could build a company together. So this is in your final wrap up here, in your outcome, is that it looks like you're heading towards doing that. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Fool pop up, maybe even the Magician, in your next couple weeks of reading. So come back and check on those. But yeah, let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana. This is pretty 5 major arcana for you. That's a pretty major week for you. There's some sort of stir up that has caused you to kind of change your future here. Again, you're very close to achieving your goal. I don't even see this starting quite yet. Here we are approaching this new moon, which is about fresh starts. So it's almost like you'll have a fresh start of thinking. But as far as actions, maybe that might even be the next cycle. So, you're kind of in information gathering and trying to really decide what it is that you want right now. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that you want? All right, what's hidden from you this week, Aries, is the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is about a new path in thinking, and in this case, thinking or communicating. And that's hidden from you. So, this, you might not even be communicating. In fact, I don't see any other swords in your entire reading here. There might not be anything you're communicating. I also don't see pentacles. So this doesn't seem to be financial. And I know I use job as an example there. I don't even see a pentacle in here that would designate to me that it's maybe not even about that for any of you. Interesting though. But because of the major arcana that are in here, these are thoughts, these are deep changes and things that you're going through. Anytime I see that many major arcana, it's kind of a major thing. It's not, this isn't just a minor flyby week. You're really thinking about some big changes in your life right now. And I think that's pretty cool. I love that these two are at the end of your reading there, and your secret desire for some of you and outcome. I mean, wow, those two together, look out, because they can build some things. So, all right, let's get you a final wrap up card here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message here for Aries as they ask themselves what they want. Take a step back. Okay, so you are moving towards the future, but we're again making those decisions. I mean, I imagine this decision maker might take a step back. This person moving into the future also may take a step back. Let's just make sure we're doing what we need to do. So take a step back, make sure you're doing those really big evaluations and asking yourself those really big questions about, like this, like, what do you want to commit to long term? Or do you not want to make that kind of commitment right now? All right, what do you need to do in the way of self-care this week, Aries? Self-care for Aries this week. And the card that you get is the card called Calm. A breakdown is often followed by a breakthrough. Remain calm. A breakdown is often followed by a breakthrough. That's the rest of this reading. So just remain calm. Remain calm and take a step back. We're looking at things. We're evaluating. We're in the Chariot card. We're gathering information to get ready to make a move. Again, you might not even be making that move yet. You're just kind of gathering the information so that when you're ready, when you're ready, that and how Aries is that to not make a move until you know all the steps that you're going to take. But you are very close to achieving your goals. So push through, but make sure you're just doing those really big evaluations, Aries. So, Aries, thank you so much for being here. I hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in a positive way in your life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, of course, drop me a comment down below. Let me know if anything here resonated or if you had any questions. I'd be happy to answer this for you. Also, if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe, that I really do appreciate you doing that for me. It really helps me out. And I thank you so much in advance for doing that. So, Aries, thanks again for being here. Good luck with this, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.